It is very pretty, and we're really happy to be in Honeymoon Island. I want to thank Speaker Chris Sprowls for joining us and in his neck of the woods. We also have DEP Secretary Sean Hamilton, Dr. Wes Brooks, who's our Chief Resilience Officer for the state of Florida, Dr. Mark Rains, who's the Chief Science Officer for the state of Florida, Don Sharefs with the Environmental Defense Fund, Dr. Tom Frazier, former Chief Science Officer, now at USF, and then in Pinellas County, I saw Kathleen Peters, Dave Eggers. Do we have any other commissioners? So I have those, and then Ed Montanari from St. Pete. So I want to thank you guys for joining us here today. We've been doing a lot, really since I became governor, but particularly recently, and actually getting money out for really key projects related to infrastructure. Part of that has been to support our continuing efforts at restoring the Everglades and our water resources in Florida. We were able to be down in kind of the neck of the woods where the EAA reservoir is going to go yesterday. And we were happy to be able to say that we've delivered and done actually even more than we promised on that. But we were very disappointed that there was not 1 cent in the infrastructure federal money for the southern reservoir, the EAA reservoir. So we want to make sure federal government steps up and does that. But we have been able to do an awful lot. I was in South Florida last Friday. We did some resiliency projects through our community development block grant program. And I said that we would be doing even more through the Resilient Florida grant program. And so this is something that I champion. This is something that Speaker Sprowls championed last legislative session and also got great support from Senator Wilton Simpson. And it's a program to be able to have funding to be able to go to help with infrastructure and projects, to help Florida improve its resiliency, flooding, storms, all these different things that we have to deal with as a disaster-prone state. And so we were able to do it. We had hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars the first year. I think we're going to do just as much in this coming legislative session. And everything we're doing through this program just about is going to be matched by a local community. And so if we're putting a certain amount of money on, usually you can double that in terms of the actual impact. So today, we're really proud to be able to announce $404 million in funding for 113 resilience projects across the state through our Resilient Florida program. Now, most of these awards, as I mentioned, have a local match, which means today's state and local investments for these projects will be about $730 million. 5 projects right here in Pinellas County totaling $30 million are receiving funding for living shorelines and wastewater infrastructure projects. And you see the majority of the projects going in the places where you would anticipate there being a lot of need to have more resilient infrastructure, this being one of them, of course, down in South Florida as well. Now, all these projects will enhance Florida's efforts to mitigate, prepare, and reduce the adverse impacts of flooding and storm surge for coastal and inland communities. Now, these awards are in addition to the over $270 million in projects which we proposed and announced in December along with the Speaker. And so I want to thank him. I want to thank Senator Simpson for answering the call. And what they did, you now have a dedicated source of funding that's going to come in every year to be a part of this program. That's been a huge, huge deal. And so we've really done what no one's done in Florida before, and we're happy to be able to take the lead. Of course, we've been prioritizing these issues from the beginning. We passed 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, the Clean Waterways Act to improve water quality in Florida. We've also had historic funding, not just for Everglades restoration, water resource projects. If you look at what we've done for Florida Springs, it's been fantastic, supporting things like restoring the Indian River Lagoon over on the other coast of Florida, and then also continuing to fund and increase funding for enhancing and fortifying Florida's shorelines. So we're going to continue to do that. We think this is something that's very, very important, and we're happy to actually be delivering instead of just talking, which so many people always do. We are going to be able to do these projects, and as I said, this legislative session coming up, we're asking in my budget, I'm asking to do basically the same that we did in the current budget. So if you do all of that and you take all of that into account and you include the local matches for these 2 years, this current budget year and next, you're looking at well over $2 billion of projects that will be done between the state and local match. So that's a huge, huge deal, and we're happy to be able to be really making an impact for Florida's communities. And so thanks for everyone who was a part of it. Thanks for stepping up, and thanks for really, I think, doing things that are going to make a big impact for Florida now and in the future. And so with that, we'd love one of the guys responsible for us being here today to come up and say a few words. Speaker Sprouse.
Thank you, Governor. It's great to be with you, with everyone here at Honeymoon Island State Park in Pinellas County, the most beautiful beach in the state of Florida, which I get to say because I live here. Took my wife on our first date just off this causeway. But what we're doing here today is historic. It's historic because never before has the state of Florida or any state gone about protecting our coastline from flooding, from sea level rise like we are in this bill. And the reality is that when I was coming in as Speaker and President Simpson was coming in as President, we realized something very unique, that we were living in this very unique period of time in Florida's history where we had a governor in Ron DeSantis who is the most environmentally friendly governor that in Florida has ever had in our history. And we realized that this unique period of time where we had the chance to do something different, to get ahead of all the problems that we had in our communities on coastal flooding, things that are making our homeowners insurance go up just a couple miles from here in Pinellas County or Miami-Dade or Panama City Beach. We realized that the flooding that was impacting our businesses and our communities was going to have a significant effect on Florida's future, but also that myself, the governor, the president, the House and the Senate, we could do something about it, and it could be big. And that's when you saw us roll out last year the Always Ready bill carried in the House by Representative Demi Busada Cabrera from Coral Gables. And this bill, for the first time, vets projects. Now think about that. You drive through Pinellas County or Miami, you're passing overpasses and roads that were planned years in advance, a whole work plan dedicated by experts to decide this whole vision for the state about transportation. Well, what about our environment? Doesn't that deserve the same level of scrutiny and projects and experts and long-term vision? And because of the governor's leadership, the Always Ready bill does exactly that. It takes what we do in transportation and transforms that vision into the environment. And the announcement that we're here to make today is hundreds of millions of extra dollars into those projects will truly transform our community over years. On the way here, the governor and I were talking about the fact that, there's multiple years worth of projects that are being announced today. This isn't 6 months or a year, 3 years worth of projects. The governor has done more in his time in his first term than any governor has done in 2 terms for Florida's environment. And today is just another historic example of what we are doing and how we are leading the way in the state of Florida in order to accomplish the goal of environmental resiliency and protecting our communities from flooding. Governor, thank you so much for your leadership and the leadership of your department. We're happy to help you here in Pinellas County. I know Tom Frazier from the College of Marine Science, USF St. Petersburg, is here with us today. What's going to be important about that is the bill we're talking about today, the flood hub for innovation is going to be right here in Pinellas County. So a lot of the expertise and science that's going to help the Department of Environmental Protection to vet these projects over the next several years will come from right here from the University of South Florida. We're proud of them. Governor, thank you again for your leadership.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate your support. All right, Secretary of DEP, Sean Hamilton.
Thank you, Governor. First, I want to acknowledge, along with the Speaker, welcome to one of the greatest state parks on the face of the planet. So I'm sorry we couldn't get it a little warmer for you here, but I hope you enjoy the scenery. So it's a pleasure to be here with the Governor and the Speaker, of course, again, to celebrate another historical environmental milestone for the state of Florida. Florida is, of course, faced with some very unique environmental challenges, including sea level rise and flooding and storm surge. We are fortunate that the Governor DeSantis and the Florida legislature and our state's local governments have continued to recognize that the resilience of our coastlines and inland communities are at the forefront of environmental issues facing our state. Storm surge, flooding, erosion, saltwater intrusion, stormwater management will be exacerbated by sea level rise, which again is already a problem in some of our communities. So to be ready for the changes that will occur as sea levels rise, we must continue to plan, as the speaker noted, prepare for the possibility of these impacts. To tackle this critical issue, May 12, 2021, Governor DeSantis signed into law Senate Bill 1954, House Bill 7019. This comprehensive legislation ensures, as the speaker noted, a comprehensive approach to Florida's coastal and inland resilience. The targeted funding and directives establish a structure for resilience that follows the best available science and data while enhancing efforts to protect our inland and coastal resources that act as natural defenses against sea level rise. Late last year, DEP submitted the state's first, and again, I iterate this, the first ever statewide flooding and sea level rise resilience plan to the state legislature. And today I'm glad to be here to announce additional projects that will mitigate, prepare for, and reduce existing and anticipated adverse impacts of sea level rise, flooding, and storm surge. The 113 projects that the governor announced include 5 projects right here in Pinellas County. This includes 3 living shoreline projects for the Gulfport Marina, the city of Treasure Island, and Philippi Park. 2 infrastructure projects for wastewater and for collection and utilities. Again, all important steps forward. These projects will buffer these communities from sea level rise and storm surge, address flooding, and fortify infrastructure to protect human health and safety. Today is a great step forward. I look forward to working with our communities, as the speaker noted, with our experts at the Florida Flood Hub. But again, more importantly, I want to thank you for the leadership and the partnership that brought us here today. Again, if you think about the role of our Chief Resiliency Officer that the governor championed early on, if you think about all of the leadership from the legislature, if you think about the energy that's put into this program, we are definitely on a path for achieving one of the greatest resilience and planning efforts in the nation. So thank you again for your support.
Okay. Dr. Wes Brooks.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Secretary Hamilton and Speaker Sprouse and the legislature for the continued focus on planning and execution of resilience projects around our great state, and especially through this Resilient Florida program. 2 months ago, Secretary Hamilton and I stood alongside our governor on the shores of Tampa Bay, just right over there to the east, to announce the first ever statewide flooding and sea level rise resilience plan. That plan, as you've heard, featured a commitment of more than $270 million in state funding for 76 high-priority projects that were requested by local governments to help protect critical infrastructure, secure water supplies, boost wetlands conservation, and reduce flood impacts. Today, our governor has announced another list of 113 resilience projects, including 5 here in Pinellas County. We've got 3 new living shoreline projects going in at Safety Harbor, Treasure Island, and Gulfport. We've got some county-wide utility reliability improvements to mitigate flood and windstorm vulnerability. And we're also helping to promote construction of critical wastewater infrastructure, which will also help reduce impacts from flooding and also make sure that residents' health and environmental factors are protected when those flooding events occur. All of these newly announced projects are to be funded with more than $400 million from the Resilient Florida program. A lot of numbers are being thrown today, but I just want to put it in context. So with the statewide resilience plan projects, the local match funding, the funding we're providing today, that's over $1.2 billion being invested in 189 projects that will be designed or implemented really over the next 3 years. And we're not done, right? The governor's Freedom First budget includes another $500 million request so that we can roll out another large set of projects to help provide more support for local communities to protect what they care about and what their residents need in the future. Under Governor DeSantis' bold vision and leadership, and through partnership with the legislature, the state of Florida is leading the way on resilience through action. And I look forward to continuing to enhance our communication, our coordination, and innovation across federal, state, and local governments to help ensure that we have a better prepared and more prosperous future available for Floridians in every community, whether it's inland or coastal. Thank you, Governor.